We're back for, I believe, 5th video at this point. So what happens if you have an audio file that goes well, but you have to stop, and for some reason you have more than one audio file? Let's say you're not recording in Audacity, you're recording on your phone, and the first half is great, but you had to stop, and you have a separate file, and you now have to try to put them together. Using Audacity to do so is not too difficult. Typically, when I'm putting together more than one file, I use a program called Reaper. That's that scary looking title up here. It's just an audio program, but that one costs. I paid $60 for that one. Obviously, my circumstance is different doing the podcast than you guys in the project, but you can do it in Audacity, and there are ways to do so, and it's not that difficult. So let's start with just recording a couple pieces of audio. So I'm going to record. This is podcast part number 1. Stop. All right, and again, don't forget to export. I'm going to label it part 1. Okay. Then I can go to File and New, close the old one, and I'm going to record. We're back with part 2. Stop. Good. Go export again. Part 2. We're good to go. So now I have 2 different files here, part 1 and part 2. What do I do to try to bring this together? So I'm going to reopen Audacity. Okay. First things first, you want to kind of pull in the first file into one Audacity, and then you have a second one into a second Audacity screen. So this is part 1, this is part 2. They tell you if you've saved it properly up in the corner, the upper left-hand corner, which one. So let's say we want part 1 to come before part 2. So what we can do is we can hit the end button here. This skips to the very end, and you notice when I do that, there's a little black bar and an arrow that show up. Okay, that kind of sets my place marker right here at the very end, the last second. Next step is to go into part 2. To highlight everything by clicking twice, go to Edit and Copy. That takes the audio file, puts it on a clipboard. We go back to part 1. Okay, make sure that we're at the end, not at the beginning. We're at the end. Okay, and then what you could do is you could just go to Edit, Paste. You notice here it takes that audio file, part 1, and takes the stuff I copied from part 2 and puts them together. You have this black line. Typically, I just click that black line to make it go away. I don't know if you need to. I always do. So if I go back to the beginning and take off my headphones, and I apologize for any clicking and shaking and noise, you can hear the files put together. I'm going to record. This is podcast part number 1. And I'm going to record. We're back with part 2. All right, so as you can see, pretty simple stuff. You can copy, paste, do all kinds of stuff with that. So again, let's talk about another topic while we already have a file put together. So this is now our collected podcast, all 7.5 seconds of it. So remember, any changes you make, again, you have to go to File and Export. Before we do, let's say I've got this weird gap of space here that I want to get rid of. Well, and I want it to sound more seamless. So what I could do is I can highlight any amount of text, and I can hit the delete key on my keyboard, and when you notice what that did, that pulled it right away. Now let's say you accidentally delete too much. You can always go to Edit and Undo. Like let's say I accidentally deleted this bit right here. Oh crud, that's someone's talking. I can go to Edit and Undo Delete. So you can always go back to the beginning and listen at any time to kind of listen for taking out any dead space, getting rid of and cleaning up anything that you really don't want in your final draft. So go ahead and play around with that, get that figured out, and you should be able to take multiple audio files and really kind of put them together into one final product. Again, go to File and Export, and then you could save it as final or whatever it is you want to title it, and then bam, saves one right there. That is that complete audio. All right, I'm trying to think what else we need to talk about. Maybe I'll do a fun one on special effects and maybe adding things outside of the realm of the normal audio. So thanks a bunch. One more maybe to go.